Welcome to 3 Steps. This is the third part and final part for the interview with Henry Poole. He is a CEO at Civic Action. He's also a board member of the Free Software Foundation. He is also a software engineer, in case you couldn't tell. He's married, he's a father, and in this one we go into his 3 steps. And initially he only has 1 step for you, but then as we start talking and things unfold, we go deeper and he winds up revealing 2 more things. But he also remembers something from his youth that was super impactful and definitely had a big impact on who he is today. All right, see you on the inside. If you could give 3 pieces of advice to a younger version of yourself, how to thrive more or be more successful or to be more confident or to get to where you are at now faster, what 3 pieces of advice would you give that younger version of yourself?
I can only think of one, actually. One bit of advice for myself. I can think of things that I did that were really helpful, but there's one thing that I would have probably done earlier, and that is learn to meditate earlier.
Oh yeah. Yeah, learn to meditate earlier. What are the goodies from meditating? What do you get out? What do you get out of meditating?
There's a guy, I think his name's Cornfield, and he has this little story about meditating. You know, meditating is praying. You know, it's like the same thing. You know, although some people, you know, get really judgmental about, you know, the words, but to me it's very similar. You know, meditating is really it's just being still and focusing, learning how to focus. And I think that skill of like tuning your own attention and putting it somewhere and being able to hold it there, whether it's you're just paying attention to the breath coming in and out of your nose or your mouth or your heartbeat, if you can feel it, but just paying attention to that like a drum beat, and then noticing your thoughts, not making it wrong that you're thinking, because it's okay to think, but just noticing that something, you know, that feeling. You know, I think it helps me learn how to focus my mind, and it also does something even more important, and that is it helped me to notice that there was a me beyond my thought.
Yeah.
And that, if I had done that earlier, I would have told myself to do that earlier.
Yeah.
And I would tell myself to do it more now, too. It's advice for me today.
Yeah.
I don't meditate nearly enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, probably. I mean, I'm happy.
Yeah, totally.
Right? But if I wanted to just like, if I really wanted to like have a bigger impact, I would just do it a little bit more every day.
Yeah.
So anyway.
It's huge, man.
Anyway.
Meditation's fucking huge. It made a world of difference for me. Yeah. And that, you know, having had a temper, having had a rageful temper, that allowed me to have a moment of choice.
Yeah.
To recognize that the monkey chatter up here, the thoughts that I think are my thoughts, but the thoughts that aren't my thoughts, you know, the thoughts that are just popping up, that I could train them.
Right.
I could train my thoughts. I could train my thoughts to get organized. I could train my thoughts to be my cheerleader. I could train my thoughts to be on my team.
Right.
You know, I could train my thoughts to look for solutions. Right. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, it's I would have never. You know, you think, oh, of course, my brain's going to work for me. No, not necessarily in the beginning. You know, and it's like once you start putting your attention on that and getting it to work for you, it's different ball of wax. Different. You're in a whole different league at that point. You know, and the ability to catch yourself and the ability to catch your emotional state and really to have the moment of choice to how to react or how to be, or like you were saying with the driving, you know, it's like you could have just got pissed off at that guy who cut you off, or you could go, wait, hold on, that guy's in a hurry. It's a good thing he's in a hurry because he's obviously got somebody who's got to be important, and you know, obviously he needs to get there now.
Right.
You know, I'm going to give him all the room he needs to get there, and I'm gonna support him in getting there faster.
You know what it is? It's like the meditations is like it's like going to it's like benching.
Yeah.
You know, if I sit down there, I've got a bench out there. If I sit down there and I start benching, you know, reps every day or every couple of days, 3 months, I'm noticing the difference, right?
Yeah.
Meditation is the same thing.
Yeah.
It actually, all these circuits in the brain, they're just like muscles. They didn't teach me that when I was a kid. They said, yeah, they're there, they die.
Yeah.
You know, you can't get them back, you can't grow them. It's not true, it's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
You can grow them, right? So, and if you sit there, if I do this like 5 minutes, like every day, this little bit of meditation, it's kind of like just doing 5 minutes of benching,
Yeah.
right? And over a period of a couple months, I just start to notice something. And what happens is like, most of my brain was, it's the same as a lizard or an animal. It's got the stem part, which is connected to my, spine and like nervous system, the base there. And there's a part of it's called the amygdala. And that little part of the brain, it's like the low part of your operating system. It's like if you have like Linux or Windows, it's like the little kernel of the operating system of my brain. And like, it was built when a saber-toothed tiger was going to eat me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Right. Like the tiger is coming at me, and it's like that little part there built the instruction set for me to survive a saber-toothed tiger attack. The problem is, it's still there. I just got layers of shit on top of it.
Right.
Like more, which is not a problem. It just is. It's just the way our brains work. And this part of the brain where we live most of our time is not certain. It's not dealing with survival of a saber-toothed tiger attack. But if somebody cuts you off, you think you like that lower part of your brain takes over, and it says there's a saber-toothed tiger I have to kill.
Yeah.
Right, and it gets you into that. It's almost like it gets you into a flow state of rage, which is useful if a saber-toothed tiger is after you.
Right. Yeah.
But if it's not, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Because you can end up in jail when you get out of your flow state, right? Or whatever might happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, so the more we practice the muscle, which is basically what they say is meditation actually strengthens up the circuits so that you can actually notice that is going on.
Yeah.
So anyway.
You can catch it.
Right, it's
you can actually catch it before it triggers.
Well, even if you catch it a minute or two later, it's better than it's better than days.
Yeah,
right. I mean, sometimes it's even if you anyway.
No. You were giving gold right now, man. That's beautiful stuff. Yeah, that's good stuff. Well, okay. So, is there any other advice you'd like to give a younger version of yourself? Like some of the things you've done that you know worked for you, that if you gave that to a younger you would help them?
Oh, I think start hitting on women earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really shy, and or hitting, not just, or men.
Yeah.
Hit on men. It's like there were parts of me that I was brave and courageous, and I think it would have been fun anyway to be a little bit more courageous when it came to the personal relationships.
Yeah.
So,
Totally. That's a good piece of.
And there's nothing wrong with we just learn from it,
Yeah.
But I think it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the whole feather conversation, right? If you don't try,
What's the downside?
Yeah.
Somebody says no, and that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. You get relationships, you get friends, you get new people in your life. What the fuck?
Another thing is I went to a workshop a few years ago, and there was an exercise on somebody saying no to you.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And I would send myself, I would put myself into that exercise when I was 10.
Yeah.
That I would do that. That would have been awesome.
Really? Right on. Yeah. Cool.
Because no doesn't. It's not a rejection.
Yeah.
I mean, it in fact really often has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Or me. You know? My wife, she comes up. Yesterday, she went down to the street, and one of the neighbors is, walking up the street with her dog, and Maria said, "Hi," and the neighbor just like, we kept walking, ignored my wife, and it's like my wife's like, what did I do to be this like a person who my neighbor doesn't want to interact with me, and I'm like, it's her, it's the neighbor.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
It's like if my wife was a different race, for example, you could put it on that, but it wouldn't be because she was a different race.
Yeah.
It would be because the person had some prejudgments about it, right?
Yeah,
It has nothing to do.
It had nothing to do.
And it's like the same thing with these words. And I think that particular exercise on no would be really good.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good piece of advice.
There was something that I was going to say earlier, which is a really important thing that happened to me. My father was a private investigator, and he brought home a tape recorder. He also brought home a video recorder, but the first thing he brought home was a tape recorder, and he used it around the house, and he recorded my mother and my sister and myself and him, and then we'd play the recording, and I listened to the recording, and I listened to my mother. It sounded just like my mother. My sister sounded just like my sister, and my father sounded just like my father, but I was not the same person on the tape as I was that I heard.
Right.
So my voice was what I hear, and then the voice on the tape was another human.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was really profound for me, because I realized that I didn't really understand how I showed up. So I realized that there was some other experience that a person had of me, of my, just the voice. There's another experience that somebody had of my voice than I heard when I was speaking. And it was just like, wow.
Yeah.
And that was profound.
Yeah.
And you know, a few years later, a friend of mine came, my best friend. I said something to him, and he got really pissed off at me. And then he stopped talking to me for 2 days. And his name is Scott. I finally got in touch with Scott, and I said, Scott, you know what happened? And he's like, oh, well, you blah 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 did this or said this. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I believe, like, your experience is not what my experience was, but I believe your experience probably was your experience, right? And I'm like, and I asked him, I said, Scott, I'm sorry that this happened.
Yeah.
And I said, I would really love it if you would tell me next time, right? I'd like to learn how I show up.
Yeah.
And I think I was like 13 years old or something. And
That's profound,
that started a process that turned into a lot of the work that I've done with my men's team that I'm on right now, and pretty much all of my relationships. I have an openness to the experience of somebody else being different than the one that I think is happening.
Yeah.
So that's one.
Thank you, man. This has been fucking awesome. I really appreciate it. Later, guys. Thanks for watching. So, what did you think about his ideas on meditation and my conversation about that moment of choice? Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and we'll see you next week.